All right, YouTube, it's Kennard Vernon Stewart here for the podcast. We're talking Auburn football. Go ahead and like the video, comment, and click the bell, subscribe to the channel. As always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle. YouTube, what's up, man? Auburn is actually approaching the spring football camp very, very quickly. And as you know, football is kind of starting to be like a year-round thing. You have football, you have the season, then you have the ongoing recruiting, then you have early signing day, which has changed the trajectory of college football, period. And then you have the signing day, which was not quite as big of an event as it normally is. And now you have the last 4 or 5 games of the college basketball season. And next thing you know, spring football is right back at you and right back on the horizon. Now, before we get all the way, there's a lot of stuff that we can talk about as it relates to Auburn football, as it relates to, the spring preparations and things of that nature. But my thing is the 4 losses from 2019 that were gut-wrenching. I did some live streams that were, probably a little bit out of my own sports analytical character, but at the same time you're like, God damn it, man, how did Auburn lose that game, or why does Auburn continue to lose these gut-wrenching games? Now, when I talk about a gut-wrenching game, I'm talking about a game that either A, Auburn is favored to win and did not, Florida, for example, or B, a game that Auburn obviously, because of their defensive prowess, because of the approach to the football game, should have won the game based on how the range of motion of the game actually went. So, when I look at the 4 losses for Auburn on last year, you talk about losses to Florida, 24-13. You talk about a loss to LSU, 23-20. Then you talk about a loss to Georgia, 28-21. And surprisingly, a win over Alabama. But then after beating Alabama, you go to the Outback Bowl, and guess what? A 28-21 loss to Minnesota. Now, the issue with all of these games and the reason why Gus Malzahn continues to remain on the hot seat is the fact that he keeps losing these games. Inexplicably, almost to the point where it's almost being done, not necessarily deliberately, but there's no sense of urgency as far as play calling, as far as adjustments, things of that nature, for Auburn to give themselves a legitimate shot at winning the game. All Auburn can leave with is, well, we almost had it. And that's something that the Auburn fan base is growing really agitated of with the Gus Malzahn era. Yeah, Gus Malzahn has done more than enough to keep Auburn afloat, to keep Auburn as a legitimate program. But at this point, the Auburn fan base as a whole is just very interested in sealing the deal. You go back to 2013. Auburn less than a minute away from a second national championship in 3-year span. Unheard of for Auburn to even have the opportunity to do so. Another coach, in my opinion, their level of urgency kicks in at that point. No holds barred. We don't let Florida State score, period. Florida State scores, wins the national championship 34-31 with less than 2 minutes remaining in the game. And here we are in 2020. Gut-wrenching losses to Georgia, for example. Big plays that are given up early in the game. Giving a team like Georgia with superior talent, in my opinion, giving them numerous opportunities to continue to 21-0 against Auburn. Auburn's defense, just not heard of that year. And then to be able to storm back and make the game 21-14, and the play that costs you is a standard out route to Harold Joyner thrown to the non-play side shoulder. And when it comes down to that, it goes back to looking at Gus Malzahn. In Gus, it's getting to the point where Auburn fans are really testing their will as it relates to Gus Malzahn with all the talent. Of course, you got a lot coming in 2020. Tank Bigsby, easily one of the better running backs in the country right now. You're probably going to have a more talented offensive line, but you can't help but to think, Gus Malzahn, just like Clemsoning, you got to think, you still got Gus Malzahn. And that's the trajectory that Auburn, as a coaching staff, as a program, has to change. Especially if Gus Malzahn is going to remain a coach at Auburn, you definitely want a coach that you can trust. You think about coaches that you can trust. Look at programs like Florida State. They could trust Bobby Bowden. Of course, Alabama trusts Nick Saban. Of course, Clemson trusts Dabo Swinney. They trust the coach. The outcome may be shaky a year, but they know that their coach is going to reel it back in. But the unfortunate part about all this is that they can't say the same for Gus Malzahn. They can't say that, okay, in a game where Auburn is favored to win, like quote-unquote 2020 against North Carolina, Auburn is favored to win that one. That's a game that Gus Malzahn and his staff can tend to tank. A game like that. A game where I know Auburn is probably more superiorly talented, at least as it relates to ratings, but can Auburn win it? That's a game right now you need to circle on your calendars as to whether Auburn can pull it off or not. And that's the thing to where Gus Malzahn is not all the way trusted by the Auburn fan base. 4 games, guys. An 11-point loss to Florida, a 3-point loss to the eventual national champions who are torching everybody, a 7-point loss to Georgia, 7-point loss to Minnesota. Actually, I mistook the score. The score was actually 31-24. I mean, you're talking about less than 20 points differential. That's the margin of error for Auburn being 9-4 and possibly being in the college football playoff with a true freshman quarterback. And fans want to say the common denominator is Gus Malzahn. Tell me your thoughts in the comment section. Go ahead and like the video, comment, and subscribe to Vernon Speak Sports Auburn. Video on Bo Nix coming up soon. I think this guy's going to be one of the better quarterbacks in college football for this particular season. As I said before, like the video, comment, and subscribe. As always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle.